The internet didn't just pause when Erika Kirk's name started trending again, it froze. Screens went dark. Timelines refreshed endlessly. And people everywhere felt that sharp, unmistakable chill that only comes when something big is about to blow wide open. Because this wasn't another cute viral moment. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't haters reaching. This was the kind of revelation that makes fans whisper, then panic, then ask the one question nobody expected to ask. Who have we really been watching this whole time? For years, Erika Kirk's life looked untouchable. Perfectly lit photos. Carefully chosen words. Faith, grace, poise, purpose, a woman who seemed to glide through life without cracks. But behind that image, something didn't line up. Old faces vanished. Entire chapters were missing. Timelines overlapped in ways that made no sense. And now, leaked messages, resurfaced recordings, and people from her past are forcing the truth into the open whether she's ready or not. Fans thought they knew her story. They were wrong. Insiders are whispering about erased identities, abandoned friendships, and a reinvention so calculated it borders on frightening. Social media is in meltdown mode, creators are scrambling for answers, and the deeper people dig, the more disturbing the picture becomes. Because this isn't about a messy past, it's about a past that may have been intentionally buried. And the most terrifying part. This is only the beginning. What's coming next could completely rewrite everything you thought you knew about Erika Kirk. Stay right here, because once you hear what's been hiding in plain sight, there's no unseeing it. Long before the polished photos, the carefully timed captions, and the serene public persona fans recognize today, Erika Kirk was living a life that looks almost unrecognizable now. Insiders say the version of Erika the world sees didn't grow naturally over time. It was assembled, piece by piece, after years of quiet instability, abandoned identities, and relationships that ended without warning. People who knew her before the spotlight describe someone constantly searching for a version of herself that felt powerful enough to survive scrutiny. And that search, according to multiple former friends, left a trail of unanswered questions she never expected to resurface. Those early years were messy in ways Erika has never acknowledged publicly. Not scandalous in the tabloid sense, but emotionally chaotic. One former roommate recalls nights where Erika would spiral, obsessing over how she was perceived, deleting posts in real time, rewriting captions over and over because she feared saying the wrong thing. She talked often about wanting to be respected, admired, followed, not just liked. And whenever something didn't go the way she imagined, she didn't confront it. She disappeared. Friendships didn't fade. They were cut clean, like they never existed. Multiple people from that era tell the same story. Erika would attach herself intensely to a group, a project, or a mentor, then abruptly vanish the moment expectations appeared or accountability entered the room. One collaborator described it as emotional whiplash. One week she was all in, talking long-term plans, purpose, destiny. The next week, she was gone, unfollowed, blocked, erased. No explanation. No closure. Just silence. And then came the reinventions. Not gradual growth, but total resets. New circles. New language. New values. New aesthetics. Old photos quietly deleted. Old usernames abandoned. Old connections scrubbed from her digital footprint. To outsiders, it looked like maturity. To the people left behind, it felt deliberate. One former friend said watching Erika rebrand was like watching someone burn down their house every time a crack appeared instead of fixing the foundation. The most unsettling part wasn't that she changed, everyone changes. It was how determined she was to pretend those earlier versions never existed. She didn't speak about them. She didn't reference them. She didn't acknowledge the people who helped her survive those years. It was as if her life began the moment her public image became acceptable. Things escalated when Erika discovered spaces that rewarded image over history. Faith circles, political environments, influencer culture. These worlds didn't ask uncomfortable questions. They celebrated certainty, confidence, clarity. And Erika leaned into that fully. Her tone softened. Her language became intentional. Her appearance more controlled. Her messaging aligned perfectly with audiences that valued polish over vulnerability. It worked. Doors opened. Platforms grew. And for the first time, she wasn't chasing belonging, she was being invited in. That success came with a price. The higher she climbed, the more dangerous her past became. People from earlier chapters noticed something strange. Erika stopped acknowledging them entirely. Messages went unanswered. Invitations ignored. Mutual memories treated like liabilities. One woman says she reached out simply to congratulate Erika on her growing platform, and was blocked within minutes. No argument. No tension. Just erased. And then there were the whispers. Quiet conversations among people who knew her before she became a public figure. Do you remember when? Does anyone else think it's strange she never mentions? Am I crazy? Or is this a completely different person? At first, no one wanted to say anything. Erika hadn't hurt them maliciously, they thought. She just moved on. But as her platform grew, so did the discomfort. Because she wasn't just moving forward, she was rewriting the past. The first crack formed when an old acquaintance posted a harmless throwback photo. Nothing dramatic. No accusations. Just a grainy memory from a different era. The caption was neutral, almost affectionate. But the internet reacted instantly. Fans flooded the comments asking who Erika used to be, why she looked so different, why that chapter never came up in her story. Within hours, the photo was gone. The account was restricted. Erika said nothing publicly, but insiders say she was furious behind the scenes. From there, everything unraveled faster than she could contain it. Old usernames resurfaced. Archived posts were dug up. Screenshots of abandoned projects circulated. People noticed timelines that didn't line up. Years that were never discussed. Experiences that seemed deliberately skipped. And then came the messages. Private DMs from people in her past saying they didn't recognize her anymore. According to one source, Erika didn't respond with reassurance. She responded with control. Blocking. Reporting. Cutting off any potential threat to the image she'd built. What truly shocked fans was learning just how closely she monitored perception. Multiple insiders claim Erika tracked comments obsessively, screenshotting criticism, keeping mental lists of who supported her and who didn't. Not out of insecurity alone, but strategy. Reputation wasn't just important to her, it was everything. One former collaborator said, it felt like she was playing a role she could never step out of, even in private. Then came the moment that changed everything, meeting Charlie. Suddenly, Erika's reinvention wasn't just personal, it was amplified. Her image became intertwined with his influence. Her narrative gained legitimacy overnight. Access followed. Authority followed. And the pressure to maintain perfection multiplied. People close to the situation say Erika understood immediately what was at stake. Any trace of her past that didn't align with this new chapter had to stay buried. But buried doesn't mean gone. As her visibility increased, so did the curiosity. Fans started asking questions she never answered. Former acquaintances started connecting dots. And then, quietly at first, Because according to multiple sources, there are messages, recordings, and moments Erika never expected anyone to keep. Evidence not meant to shame her, but proof that her transformation wasn't organic. It was engineered. And if even half of what insiders are hinting at comes to light, this isn't just a story about reinvention. It's about control, fear, and a life built on the careful deletion of anything that didn't fit the image. And the next reveal. It doesn't come from strangers. It comes from someone who knew her when the mask wasn't finished yet. By the time the second wave of leaks hit, the conversation around Erika Kirk shifted from curiosity to alarm. This wasn't just about a carefully curated image anymore. It was about intent. Because what insiders began revealing suggested that Erika didn't simply reinvent herself out of insecurity. She did it out of fear. Fear that if the wrong people spoke at the wrong time, the entire foundation she built would collapse overnight. It started quietly, almost invisibly. An anonymous account appeared late one night and dropped a short screen recording. No commentary. No captions. Just footage scrolling through old private messages tied to an account many believed Erika had abandoned years ago. The username matched. The timestamps were real. And the tone of the messages was nothing like the calm, faith-forward voice fans were used to. This Erika was frantic, spiraling, obsessing over perception. One message stopped the internet cold. If I don't control the story, I lose everything. That single line detonated the narrative. Within hours, creators were stitching the clip, pausing it frame by frame, pointing out details that fans had never seen before. The way she spoke about people from her past. The way she framed friendships as stepping stones. The way she talked about starting over not as healing, but as escape. And then more messages surfaced. Erika discussing how certain connections were liabilities. Erika saying she couldn't afford to be associated with unfinished versions of herself. Erika promising that one day, nobody would be able to tell where she came from. The internet didn't just react, it investigated. Old collaborators began coming forward, not with rage, but with exhaustion. One former project partner said Erika didn't just walk away when things got difficult. She rewrote the story afterward, telling mutual contacts that the project never mattered, that the people involved were holding her back. Another claimed Erika once asked them to delete shared photos, because they didn't match where she was headed. At the time, it felt harmless. In hindsight, it felt surgical. And then came the first voice memo. It was grainy, clearly old, and allegedly recorded during a breakdown years before Erika became a public figure. Her voice was trembling, raw, nothing like the controlled cadence fans know now. She talked about being terrified of being ordinary. Of being remembered for the wrong reasons. Of people knowing too much. At one point, she said something that made listeners physically uncomfortable. I don't want people to love me. I want them to respect me. And respect means never letting them see the weak parts. That line changed everything. Because suddenly, her behavior made sense. The abrupt cutoffs. The erased friendships. The refusal to acknowledge earlier chapters. Weakness wasn't something Erika wanted to heal. It was something she wanted to eliminate from the record. And according to multiple insiders, she didn't just do this once. She did it repeatedly, every time a version of her life no longer served the image she was building. The chaos escalated when a former mentor broke their silence. This wasn't a random acquaintance. This was someone who helped Erika during one of her most unstable periods. Someone who had seen the insecurity, the emotional swings, the hunger for validation. In a long thread that went viral within minutes, the mentor said they stayed quiet for years, because they believed Erika would eventually tell her own story honestly. But when Erika began presenting her life as seamless and untouched by struggle, something felt wrong. She didn't grow out of her past, the mentor wrote. She buried it. And she was always afraid someone would dig it back up. That post opened the floodgates. More people came forward. Not with accusations of crimes or scandals, but with a consistent pattern. Erika would lean heavily on people during moments of uncertainty, then sever the relationship once she found her footing. And afterward, she would act as if those people never existed. Entire support systems erased. Entire chapters deleted. One former friend said, it felt like being used as scaffolding, then dismantled once the building was finished. The phrase stuck. As this was happening, Erika's public silence became increasingly conspicuous. No statements. No clarifications. Just Bible verses. Just serene photos. Just captions about peace and growth. And the comment sections turned vicious. Fans demanded answers. Critics accused her of manipulation. Supporters begged her to speak honestly. But she didn't. And that silence only fueled the fire. Then came the alleged recording that pushed everything over the edge. Late one night, another anonymous account posted an audio clip, claiming it was a private conversation Erika had with someone she later cut off. The audio was chilling. Erika's voice was calm, almost cold, as she explained that people from her past were risks. She said letting old versions of her surface would destroy the life she was building. And then she said something that made the entire internet recoil. If they try to expose me, I'll handle it before it becomes a problem. Handle it. Those two words became the center of the storm. Creators debated what she meant. Fans argued whether it was metaphorical or something darker. But everyone agreed on one thing: this wasn't the language of healing or faith. This was the language of control. The most disturbing twist came when a group of former friends began coordinating. They didn't plan a takedown. They didn't release everything at once. They simply compared notes, screenshots, dates, messages, realizing the same patterns repeated across different years, different circles, different versions of Erika. They started calling themselves, quietly at first, the ones she erased. When that phrase leaked, the internet exploded. Because suddenly, this wasn't one disgruntled person. It was many. And their stories overlapped in ways that were impossible to ignore. The same emotional cycles. The same disappearances. The same silence afterward. And according to them, Erika didn't just cut ties. She actively discouraged others from maintaining contact, warning that people from her past were unsafe. As the pressure mounted, an entertainment outlet published a bombshell teaser claiming someone close to Erika possessed something far more explosive than messages or voice memos. Something that suggested Erika wasn't just reinventing herself, she was running from something. The article didn't say what. It didn't name the source. It simply said the evidence existed and was being verified. That's when panic truly set in. Fans watched Erika's accounts obsessively, noting every change. Stories deleted. Comments limited. Followers quietly removed. Insiders claimed her team was working overtime to contain the narrative. And then, in a move nobody expected, someone posted a short clip of Erika from years ago, visibly distressed, filming herself in a dim room. She wasn't performing. She wasn't branding. She was crying. "I don't know who I'm supposed to be," she said in the clip. "And I'm scared people will find out who I really am before I figure it out." For a moment, the internet went quiet. Because that clip didn't show a villain. It showed someone broken. Someone terrified. Someone desperate to survive. But then the clip continued. Her voice steadied. Her eyes hardened. And she said the sentence that changed how everyone interpreted. By the time the final reveal surfaced, the internet was already braced for impact, but nothing could have prepared anyone for how deeply this went. Because the third wave didn't come from an anonymous account chasing clout, or a former friend seeking closure. It came from someone whose proximity to Erika shattered every remaining excuse. Someone who didn't just know her past, they lived inside the transition. And when that person finally spoke, the story stopped being about reinvention and became about concealment. The drop happened without warning. No countdown. No teaser. Just a file uploaded in the early hours of the morning with a title that made people freeze mid-scroll. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't clickbait. It was clinical. A conversation recording. Time-stamped. Verified by multiple sources within hours. And once people pressed play, there was no turning back. Erika's voice was unmistakable. She wasn't crying this time. She wasn't panicked. She was deliberate. Calm. Strategic. She spoke about her public image like a project timeline. She talked about optics, alliances, and the danger of old narratives resurfacing. At one point, she said something that sent chills through everyone listening. People don't need to know where I came from. They need to know where I'm going. The past confuses the message. The message. That word hit harder than any accusation. Because it reframed everything. Her faith content. Her political alignment. Her sudden Polish. It wasn't just belief or growth, it was branding. And according to the recording, anyone who didn't fit that brand was expendable. She discussed distancing herself from specific individuals, not because they hurt her, but because they reminded her of instability. Of uncertainty. Of a version of herself she had decided could not exist anymore. And then came the most devastating admission of all. In the recording, Erika acknowledged that people from her earlier life might one day speak out. She didn't deny it. She anticipated it. She said, if they do, I'll say they misunderstood me. That they are bitter. That they don't know who I am now. She paused, then added quietly, people believe the version of you they meet first. That sentence detonated trust across the internet. Because it suggested foresight. Planning. A narrative prepared in advance, not to heal, but to deflect. And as creators replayed the clip, something else became clear. She wasn't afraid of lies. She was afraid of context. Afraid that if people saw the full arc, the instability, the dependency, the emotional chaos, the authority she now carried would weaken. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Major fan pages went dark overnight. Longtime supporters posted goodbye messages, saying they felt emotionally manipulated. Faith leaders debated whether authenticity could coexist with such calculated erasure. PR experts weighed in, calling it a textbook case of identity construction under pressure. Psychologists pointed out the danger of disowning earlier selves instead of integrating them. The phrase, curated self, trended for days. And then, the person behind the recording stepped forward. Not publicly. Not with a face or a name. But with confirmation through a trusted journalist. This person wasn't an enemy. They weren't erased. They weren't blocked. They were once trusted. Deeply. They claimed they stayed silent, because they believed Erika would eventually tell her own story honestly. But when they saw her past being framed as non-existent, when they saw others being painted as irrelevant or unstable, they felt complicit by staying quiet. Their final message to the journalist was devastatingly simple. She didn't just change. She decided who deserved to exist in her story. As that quote circulated, everything shifted. People began re-watching Erika's old speeches, not for inspiration, but for omission. Every time, she spoke about purpose without mentioning struggle. Every time, she referenced growth without acknowledging loss. Every time, she framed her journey as smooth, divinely guided, untouched by contradiction. The silence around her earlier life was no longer neutral. It was loud. And still, Erika didn't respond. No apology. No clarification. No acknowledgement. Just more polished posts. More carefully worded captions. More distance. To some, it looked like grace under pressure. To others, it looked like confirmation. Because if the recordings were false, this would have been the moment to deny them. And she didn't. Then came the final twist. A legal source confirmed that takedown requests had been sent, not for false information, but for unauthorized use of personal material. That detail mattered. Because it wasn't about truth or lies. It was about control. About ownership of narrative. About deciding which versions of Erika were allowed to exist publicly. The internet responded the only way it knows how. It archived everything. Screenshots saved. Audio mirrored. Threads preserved. Because people understood something fundamental had been exposed. Not a crime. Not a scandal. But a philosophy,